Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly trophy list updates. Today's date is Monday, July the 17th of 2023. So this will have covered the week of July the 10th through the 16th of 2023. This was a pretty productive week overall, with 2 platinum trophies being obtained, as well as celebrating the YouTube channel's 13th anniversary, which was a lot of fun. We streamed on Friday, we got the Platinum Trophy in the Division 2, and then we continued the celebration on Saturday night with the completion of Modern Warfare 2 on the PS5. So it was a lot of fun to celebrate. 13 years later, this is what we've grown into. The channel has changed quite a bit from, the old Mercenaries 2 stunts type of videos to Let's Playing, and now to a focus on trophy hunting and streaming. So it's changed a lot over the years, and it's kind of fun just to sometimes look back on that and go back and watch some of my old videos and just see how much even like my voice has changed, because back in the days I sounded like a freaking squeaker when you were playing old Call of Duty games. But anyways, the actual trophy progress this week was pretty good, as I obtained 2 platinum trophies. So the first one was in Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So finally got this platinum trophy done. It's not an overly difficult platinum trophy. I would put it at like a 3.5 out of 10, so like a 3.5 out of 10. It's not all that difficult, but it does take a good bit of time, and it can have a potentially couple of trickier trophies. So first and foremost, you're going to get several trophies here. Everything through here you're going to get naturally just by completing the main story of the game before the Black Tusk invasion, and there's still more after the Black Tusk invade. But this is the sort of major part of the story where you're basically taking on 3 factions that are trying to take over DC. So you'll get all of these trophies just by doing that. You then have to complete every mission on hard difficulty or above, but as it turns out, this is actually pretty easy, because hard mode is really just a medium difficulty in all honesty. It's like an average level of difficulty. The only real difference is that you do get a few more enemies on hard than you do on like story or normal, and you also tend to get a lot more like veteran enemies and maybe a few more elite enemies, but it's really not that much of a problem once you have some decent gear, because in all honesty, it's really not all that challenging to even do solo. I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, that's probably why they added in a challenging difficulty, which is the next step up and noticeably harder, or it's supposed to be noticeably harder. Then there's heroic, which is much harder, and then a few missions even have legendary mode, which is brutally harder. I've never even played anything on legendary difficulty, so I don't know exactly how difficult it is, but I've seen some videos and it doesn't look like fun, and would definitely require a good skilled group to play through. Then you have to fully upgrade the settlements, which is just going to come by completing some projects for each of the 2 settlements. It's nothing too difficult. Most of the projects are pretty easy. Then you have to destroy every piece of a tank's armor before killing the tank. This one can be a little bit finicky. I recommend doing it on the American History Museum. I think I did it on story difficulty there. That's what I want to say I did it on. And I can't remember if I did it on invaded versus non-invaded mode. But whichever way I did it, I think it was non-invaded mode though. But there's a point in it where you'll get to sort of an open room that has like, it almost looks like a cave-like room. And once you're in there, you're going to kill a few enemies, and then eventually a tank is going to spawn. And it's a tank that has a grenade launcher, so sometimes he'll inadvertently kill himself with his grenade launcher, but if you can manage to knock away his grenade launcher, it becomes pretty easy to knock out his armor. You have 1 piece of armor on each arm, 1 piece on each leg, a piece on the chest, and a piece on the head. So you have to knock out all 6 pieces and then finish him off with whatever weapon once all the armor's gone. It's a little bit finicky. It's going to take several tries, but it's nothing too terribly difficult. Then we have discover 20 control points in DC. This is very easy. There's over 20 of them. You just have to capture 20 control points. This is pretty much unmissable while doing the other stuff. You have to take over a control point in a group, but without anyone being down. Now, this is very easy, but you do have to be doing this with another player online. It can be a random, or it can be someone on your friends list. It doesn't matter. Just take any one control point without anyone in the group going down, and you will get this trophy. These next 2 trophies are pretty similar. You have to put out a call for backup, which can be done on any mission or really just if you go down at all, just hit the button, I think it's the triangle button, to put out a call for backup, and this trophy will unlock. And for this one, you have to actually respond to someone else's call for backup, and once you're in the group with them, you have to revive them at any point once you're in their group. It doesn't have to be immediately. You have to collect a suit of cards. Now, this one is really boring because what'll happen is when you kill named elites like certain ones, the game will drop one playing card from a deck of 52. There's no repeats on the cards, which is really good, but still there's 52 cards divided into 4 decks, or 4 different suits, each one has 13 cards, and you have to complete any one of those 4 suits. Now, the card that you'll get is completely random each time, which means that if you have really bad luck, it's going to take 49 cards maximum to get this trophy. The main problem, though, is that you can only get one card about every 30 minutes. Now, there's a pretty reliable way to farm the named elites. You can farm, there's one that's directly north in a little, fountain, or no, not fountain, statue plaza that's directly north of the White House. So that's a very easy place to farm it. But even so, you can only get one per half an hour, and it still took me about 40 to get through it. Now, some people might have a little bit more luck and be able to do it faster. Many people are probably going to take even longer, and some people might take that full 49, which is a full, 24 to 25 hours of just farming that trophy. Now, you can do other stuff while you're working on it, of course, like DLCs and everything, but it's still a pretty annoying trophy that it's there. This trophy is basically unmissable. It was one of the first trophies I obtained. This one is fairly easy and should come naturally. You'll get it probably by accident. Commendations you get just by completing various in-game tasks, and it's pretty difficult to miss this one. You should get at least 10 by the time you finish most of the other trophies. Help any friendlies in resource gathering. Just wait until you see a resource convoy of friendlies and then approach them and give them supplies, and you'll get this trophy. And then you have to go into any safe house within any dark zone. There's 3 dark zones on the map. Just go into any one of them and get to the safe house in it, and you'll get this trophy pretty easily. You have to extract an item from each dark zone, which is fairly easy because, in general, just getting one item out isn't too difficult. And I found that people aren't always hostile in the dark zones. It's not always a terrible experience being in there. But you do also have to eliminate a rogue agent in each dark zone. I would highly recommend boosting this one so that you don't get your butt handed to you by a bunch of super high-level try-hard players that just spend a lot of time farming in there and in groups. So I definitely recommend boosting this one, but you can do the other 2 without boosting. Then you have to win a match of Skirmish or Domination, which is a multiplayer-based 4v4 mode. I believe it was 4v4. Now, if you're not that good at the game or not that good at the multiplayer aspects of it, this one can take a little while, but the good thing is you can pretty much just keep matchmaking in until you eventually get on a team that's good enough to win it against a team that isn't as good. You also have to face off against another clan once you're in a clan. There is a trophy for either creating or joining a clan that's a little bit further down on the list. But this trophy is actually very easy. Just create a clan of your own and then just start playing Skirmish or Domination. So that's the conflict mode. And just keep playing until you get this trophy. It'll come naturally after a couple of tries probably. Complete a bounty from each safe house. There's 12 of these total. You get them once you complete all the objectives for an area, like the SHD tech and the resupplying control points and completing activities. So that'll trigger a bounty for the safe houses, and there's 12 total of those. Then you have the signature weapons trophies. There's 2 for that. You have to kill an enemy with each of the 3 signature weapons from year 1. There are other signature weapons, but you only have to use the original 3 classes. And I would definitely say go with the crossbow first, just so you can knock out this trophy with it. It's pretty easy. It just takes a little while because the ammo isn't super common. Reaching level 30 is going to come naturally, no problem, before you finish all the other trophies. In fact, the maximum level is 40 if you have the Warlords of New York DLC. Create or join a clan, already talked about that one. For this one, you're either going to need to get a boosting group together if you don't really like trying to find randoms, or you can try to join into a group of randoms and make sure that you take a picture of all 4 of you at once. It's not too hard. I did it just by joining randoms that were attacking a random control point somewhere, and I was just able to quickly snap a picture of 4 of us together, and it unlocked there. I don't think you can do it just by sitting at the spawn point of a safe house and trying to get a picture of 4 people as they spawn in. I don't think that works. I think you do have to be somewhat grouped together. Then you have to collect 20 blueprints. This one's pretty much unmissable while finishing everything else. Craft an exotic. You can either craft an exotic or you can retool an exotic that you already have, and I would recommend doing that because it's easier. Equip any specialization and then fully upgrade a specialization. The specializations are those 3 special weapons that we already saw. So equip any one of them and then fully upgrade any one of them, which requires you to invest 165 points into that category, which you'll get just by completing missions on hard and leveling up and stuff like that. So you should get that by the time you finish all the suits and everything else, and while you're playing some of the DLCs and the hard mode of missions. You have to finish a project each for the theater and campus. You'll get that naturally while going for the fully upgrading each location trophy. You have to equip and use each skill in the game. There's 8 total. You don't have to use each variation of each skill. Equip high-end gear or better. That is the gold-colored gear or better. So gold or the orangish colored one or the light green one. Like not the common tier green, but the later type of sort of high-end green that you get later on in the game. And then finally we have the most annoying of the multiplayer trophies, hijacking an extraction in an occupied dark zone. It's already a bit difficult just to boost it, and then if you just get really unlucky like we did and get a bunch of douchebags to play with in the online that are just going around being a problem with this, it can take way longer than it needs to. But even just boosting it's kind of tricky because if you're not like pretty close to the same level, leaving each other will sometimes cause people to despawn or disappear so they can't do anything with the extractions if you don't do it quickly. It took us a while to get this, but we were eventually able to get it through, of course, boosting. So then we have the raid trophies, Operation Dark Hours and Operation Iron Horse. I might have found a group to do these in because I've found some people. They added me on a group on PlayStation Profiles and on PlayStation Network, so possibly we will be able to knock these 2 trophies out sometime soon. As I've talked about a number of times, Dark Hours isn't supposed to be too bad overall, but the Operation Iron Horse is apparently harder, and just the fact you have to do it with 8 people and no one can get kicked toward the end or anything like that, or else it's going to void the trophy for everyone, is just really annoying. Then we have our next 3 DLCs. These are all Year 1 Story DLC packs. So this one is, well, really all 3 of them are fairly easy, but some of them are easier than others. DC Outskirts might be the hardest one because the Emmeline Shaw Manning National Zoo mission is actually a stronghold. It's not just a standard mission, whereas Camp White Oak is a standard mission and fairly straightforward. The Pentagon, you have to do 2 story missions as well as a side mission just to enter the area. And these can be a little bit tricky with just the amount of enemies you'll fight and the length of these 2 missions compared to some other story missions in the game, but nothing too bad here. Coney Island's probably the easiest of the 3. This one can be done in about an hour without any major issues. It's just complete the 2 story missions, but they're not particularly long. I've done trophy guides recently for Coney Island and the Pentagon, and I'm working on one for DC Outskirts, but I think I'm going to need to replay the Manning National Zoo mission to fix a couple things in it that I'm not as sure about because it is such a long mission. And then finally there's Warlords of New York, which I'm currently working on. So basically what you have to do is you have to eliminate the 4, I guess you could say, lieutenants for the manhunt for Aaron Keener. So basically, there's like 3 to 4 sort of missions that you'll do related to each of the 4 lieutenants, and completing all the missions for one of them eliminates them. And then once you've eliminated all 4 fully, you get to go on and fight Aaron Keener, and you'll get both of these trophies together, I believe, from what I've read. Then complete any main mission with at least 1 directive active. I don't think you can do this until you've beaten the story and replay a mission, but directives, I believe, are just modifiers, so I don't think that's going to be that hard. And then this one, I still, again, don't have any idea how this one's supposed to work. Then shut 2 car doors while in cover. This is one of the first trophies you're going to get in the game as long as you own the DLC. It's basically unmissable. Fun fact, this is actually a separate achievement in a separate list entirely on Xbox achievements. I have no idea why. And then you just have to reach level 40 with any agent, which will probably come fairly naturally. But, I mean, I'm currently like a level 33 or almost a level 34, and I haven't really done too much yet in here. I maybe completed 1, and then I'm like halfway through another one, so it's going to be a little while. Depending on the challenging manhunt, everything else in this DLC shouldn't be all that difficult or time-consuming. I still just don't know how that one's going to work. So yep, that's Division 2. The Platinum Trophy's done. I will continue working on the 100% this next week. I don't know how long it's going to take, though, to get through the rest of it. Kind of depends on the rating groups. Next up, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the PS5. Platinum Trophy achieved, and boy oh boy, was this not a fun experience from start to finish. As you guys already know, I did not enjoy going for this Platinum Trophy, and I would not recommend it to most other people, unless you're a diehard Call of Duty fan trying to do most or all the Call of Duty games. Now, the Platinum Trophy isn't overly difficult. I would call it probably a 5 out of 10, and it only takes about 15 hours, so it's not a super time-consuming one, but it is a pretty annoying one, to say the least. So this is one of the easier trophies. I think it's the very first one I got. On the wet work mission, it's like the second or third mission in the game. While you're underwater, just kill 3 enemies with your gun. It's fairly straightforward. You can do that one on veteran. Then this one is the very final mission of the game. It's really janky, and sometimes like the enemies will just detect you for no reason when they shouldn't. But it's not too difficult to do on veteran, just takes a little bit of luck. Finishing alone without firing a gun, I really do not recommend doing this one on veteran. I did do it on veteran, and it was a very painful experience, so I highly recommend doing this one on a second playthrough on recruit. It will make your life much easier, because at least then on veteran you can use whatever weapons you have available to you. This one's fairly straightforward. It shouldn't be a problem even on veteran, because there's like 6 different types of vehicles. This one is actually the last trophy I got for the Platinum, and it was fairly straightforward. There's a certain path you can take that makes it fairly easy to do as long as you don't do something stupid like I did and throw a bottle right before a checkpoint or right as a checkpoint triggers, so I can't really miss or can't really redo it unless I had restarted the whole mission. But of course, that's the mission where you have to go through the whole questioning section that takes like 10 minutes at the beginning, so it's boring. This one wasn't too hard to do on recruit, but don't even try to do it on veteran, you'll die so quickly. Just climb on top of the first crate that you get to and then just cross over the rest of the ship. You can stand on those sort of towers on each side of the ship. Those are fine as long as you don't touch the actual deck. This one ended up not being as difficult as I expected it to be. I thought this one was going to be really painful, but I didn't have too many problems with it. Basically, you get in the first vehicle, and then you just have to drive it through to the part where you reach Captain Price. Just don't try to do it on veteran, you're going to fail. Do it on recruit. This one is fairly easy because there's 3 different safes you can open that contain some extra supplies. Just as long as you know what the combination is from a guide, it's not a problem. 3 enemies with the riot shield. You can do this in the prison break mission. This one you can do in wet work very easily. There's like 3 enemies and a flashbang right in front of them near the end of the mission. This one ended up being this one ended up being way harder than I expected it to be, just because of the tank being so obnoxious to deal with, because it's during that tank battle section. And you're supposed to bring a thermal scope along, which is what I ended up doing. But even on recruit, just the tank can kill you so quickly. You might want to get a few targets, then damage the tank, then get several more targets, then damage the tank again. So yeah, that trophy was really annoying. That one was probably the worst of the final like 5 or 6 that I needed to get. This one's very easy. It's done on the mission where you go on the oil rig at the beginning. It's pretty easy to get. Just shoot into the porta potty. This one is fairly easy to do on recruit. You just have to sneak up to the barge and kill all the enemies in front of it, which there's about 8 or 10 enemies. This one took 2 or 3 tries. It wasn't too hard once I knew the path through it, but I don't even know if you can do it on veteran. I assume that it's the same on veteran, but I ended up doing it on recruit on replay, and you may want to back up your save before doing this section just so you don't have to replay the first part of the mission again. You can do this one, well, you have to do this one in prison break, but I ended up doing it on veteran. It wasn't too hard. And then you have to finish the campaign on veteran difficulty. There's no point of it listing realism because you can't play realism from the beginning. Veteran's the highest difficulty you can do, so I don't know why it's listed that way, but whatever. I have no intention to play the game on realism, though, just because veteran was so annoying. It's not like in Modern Warfare 2019, where veteran felt sometimes tricky but fair because enemies still died in 1 or 2 shots, whereas in this one, half of them have freaking body armor on. It's so annoying. And then finally, Recon by Fire. That's the stealth mission that completely tried to copy parts of All Gillied Up. It's a pretty long mission, but it's actually not too hard to do even on veteran, so that's kind of nice. And then you have your 3 co-op missions that you have to get 3 stars on. Low profile, you have to finish in 15 minutes. It's not too hard. Denied area, that's the one that you have to finish in 16 minutes. That one's a little bit trickier just because it is kind of a longer mission. And then Defender Mount Zaya, you just have to beat without the enemies planting more than 3 bombs. It's not too terribly difficult either. But of course, you guys know that I had a lot of trouble even finding a co-op partner for this stuff, and then even when I ended up recording it, I had issues trying to record it, so it was just a terrible experience all the way through. And then low profile without triggering any alarms is very, very annoying as well, just because, you know, the enemies will set off the alarms very easily, and if you screw up, you have to restart the entire mission. Now, this is the shortest of the 3, but the fact you have to restart if you screw up is just really annoying. Earn at least 1 star is going to come along with the other trophies, and then find 20 intel fragments. This is a pretty easy collectible trophy, but it's actually the only one that auto-pops, and it auto-pops from PS5 to PS4 as well as PS4 to PS5. So when I do the PS4 version at some point, this trophy will auto-pop after collecting 1. So at least there's that. I just wish that everything auto-popped, or at least all the co-op stuff auto-popped would be very nice. So let's go ahead and sync up the trophy list. So, with that, level 832, 35%, 26,193 total trophies, 728 platinums, 4,759 golds, 6,971 silvers, 13,735 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. The main focus is, of course, to continue working on the Division 2. That is, of course, by far the biggest focus, and try to get close to being done with it. I mean, I don't know if I doubt I'll 100% it this week, but I'd like to get fairly close to being done with it. And then I also went ahead and downloaded the PS4 version of Modern Warfare 2, because I might just go ahead and suffer through it again soon, just while it's still familiar in my mind, so I remember pretty much everything to do in it. It's at least not a long platinum, but I'm not looking forward to doing it again, as you guys can probably expect. So hopefully this time around I'll be able to do it faster and a little more easily knowing what I know now, but that also means finding a co-op partner again, which is probably going to be another terrible experience. So those are my 2 main focuses for this week and pretty much for the rest of July, since we're about halfway through the month. I also want to point out that a very unexpected trophy list has recently popped up. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed got a back port from the PS5 to the PS4 just without the multiplayer. And yes, it has a separate trophy list. And no, it's not cross-buy, meaning that even if you shelled out the full cost of the special edition for the PS5, so I bought that whole, $100 or $200 special edition of the game with the crypto statue and everything, even if you bought all of that, you do not get the other version for free, which is so freaking stupid. It shouldn't cost another $30. And I'm sure that the game's going to be far more unstable and broken than the PS5 version is. Now, the PS5 version is supposed to be relatively well fixed at this point, but that's not something that I'm overly looking forward to doing. Obviously, I'm going to do it because I do every Destroy All Humans game that pops up, but that is definitely one that I am not looking all that forward to because I fear that it's going to be just as bad as the PS5 version was on release. Hopefully it's better, but I don't know, and I'm still very annoyed that it's another, $30 or whatever instead of getting it for free if you already own the PS5 version. I don't get that one at all, but that is a thing that popped up, so just so that people know if you're trying to do all the Destroy All Humans games like I am. So, other than all of that, though, my plans for July, and then in August, maybe GTA 5, maybe Shadow of the Colossus, COD Classic, Outer Worlds, just whenever I have time for this stuff. Other old PS3 and PS4 games as well. As another note, apparently both Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 4 are still down. Far Cry 2's been down for like 5 months now, whereas Far Cry 4 has apparently been down since May, or like one specific trophy is. So hopefully they fix those, and then they announce a server shutdown for them so that people at least get one last chance at going for them. At least I would hope that they'd be nice enough to give everyone one last chance at them. And then in terms of videos and stuff to work on, I took this week off of working on any major new videos. The South Park videos, of course, the next one, just because Fallout 3 took quite a while to put together. I don't think that South Park is going to take as long to put together. I don't think Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is going to take as long to put together. Far Cry 6 may take a little while because it is a little bit of a longer game and a longer Platinum Trophy run, especially when I suffer through those few DLCs along with it. So that's the next one after that, and then Modern Warfare 2, of course. And then after those, I don't know which one's going to come next. Like, I haven't decided what my next big Platinum Trophy game is going to be. I mean, I guess it could, if I really wanted to. It could be the Destroy All Humans 2 PS4 version, even though I'm not really sure that's... I don't know yet. We'll figure it out, though. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Please like, favorite, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't already. For this week, content should be going up on a pretty normal basis, so just sort of normal schedule and all. In terms of streaming, though, I definitely will probably be streaming Pikmin 2 this coming weekend because, you know, we're getting very close to the release of Pikmin 4, and I still got to get through Pikmin 2, at least the main, like, original part of the story. I don't know if I'm going to 100% that one on stream, though, because it's so much longer than Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 3, because Pikmin 3 I should be able to knock out in, like, 2 streams, maybe. It's a fairly quick game that I'm better at than Pikmin 2. 2 is going to take at least 2 streams, probably more than that, though, because it is a much longer game just to even... Well, I think to get the debt cleared, it's only like 8 hours or so it might not be too bad. I guess we'll see, though. So, yep, that's the plans for this week. So, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for making it 13 years of ZPTV. And I will see y'all back here later this week for some more content.